Bangalore, also known as the startup hub of India, is one of the biggest, busiest cities in the country, with an ever increasing population that currently stands at almost 13 million. The people of Bangalore can visit a wide range of places on any given day. Not just offices and tech parks, but restaurants, libraries, parks, and many other places. And that brings us to something else Bangalore is famous for: the condition of its roads. Imagine driving along this, and this, and this every day for hours and hours. So, who's in charge? Who is digging these roads up? And why? Let's dive in. Roads are dug up for a number of reasons. They range from laying water pipes and optic fiber cables to constructing metro pillars and footpaths and developing smart city infrastructure. And all of these are done by different bodies. Now, under the 74th Amendment to the Indian Constitution, a set of 18 functions were devolved to urban local bodies. These include the construction and maintenance of roads, bridges, drains, flyovers, and footpaths within the jurisdiction of the urban local body. While the For Bengaluru Mahanagarapalikhe, or BBMP, is supposed to be responsible for Bengaluru's roads, that is not always the case. At any given point in time, many different government bodies carry out work on Bengaluru's roads. From the BWSSB to BESCOM to BMRCL to KRTCL, this list is long. To dig up a road in Bengaluru, government agencies need to take permission from both the BBMP as well as the jurisdictional traffic police. But does this process really take place?
The BBMP Additional Commissioner has made comments to the effect that the digging shouldn't happen without BBMP's permission, but there isn't an enforcing process for this. This goes only so far as it can be enforced, and because there's no enforcing process for this, it's not clear that they all must seek permission, and even if they do, no one is looking at what they're doing when they finish digging.
Let's take a look at the Bangalore Electricity Supply Company Limited, also known as BESCOM. Though they're supposed to take permission for any road work, this is not always the case. The case of the Bengaluru Water Supply and Sewerage Board, or the BWSSB, is another interesting one. BWSSB does not have to take permissions from the traffic police, since it often tends to emergency services like fixing water and sewage overflow. But that's not all. The BWSSB draws its power from the Bangalore Water Supply and Sewerage Board Act of 1964. This act gives it the power to dig up any road, to lay service pipes and main lines.
It's a temporal problem where you have multiple agencies, digging, reopening laid roads and so forth, right? They are wide topping roads to prevent potholes, which are then being dug up for utilities or for BMRCL. So this is a coordination issue, which to some degree can be solved if you have monthly meetings. It won't go away because you still don't have one neck to choke. If the one neck to choke is the Chief Minister of Karnataka, nobody can choke it because it's impossible to access, which is the reason by constitution the BBMP owns all roads. And if the BBMP mayor is the one neck to choke, then you have someone to ask.
The BBMP is the locally elected urban body of Bengaluru, while bodies like the Bengaluru Water Supply and Sewerage Board, the Bengaluru Electricity Supply Company Limited, and the Karnataka Road Development Corporation Limited are bodies known as parastatals. Parastatals are essentially business enterprises, which are wholly or partly owned by the state. The catch here is that parastatals have their own governing bodies. They are answerable to the state government and not the locally elected urban body. And so, in the case of Bengaluru, parastatals like the BWSSB and BESCOM are answerable to the state government and not the municipal government of the city, the BBMP. This overlap in jurisdiction shows up in the roads built in many different ways. In the central business district, 36 roads are being upgraded by Bengaluru Smart City and BBMP into tender sure roads. But what is tender sure? Tender sure is a set of street design guidelines published by Jana Urban Space in 2011. The guidelines were designed to provide a fix for underground utilities like sewage and water, while also creating safe intersections and wide footpaths. Excluding these new utilities, tender sure roads by themselves are about 60% costlier than normal roads. This money was supposed to be recovered in the following years, since under these new guidelines, the roads would not need immediate repair or digging up. But on Commercial Street, one of the oldest and busiest shopping areas in Bengaluru, pavements were dug up right after they were laid to provide water supply lines. This was because the vendors in the street were not given supply lines when the road was initially laid. But Bengaluru's central business district is not the only one with road problems. The outer ring road that connects the outer areas of Bengaluru is currently being cut into by the BMRCL. This road, which was recently pipe-topped by the BBMP, had to be cut up in places where the median was too narrow for metro pillars. The entire process was said to have cost the Palike around 15 crore rupees per kilometre. The work by BMRCL, which can be seen throughout the outer ring road, is part of phase 2 of the metro line that is set to connect the Central Silk Road to the airport. While the BMRCL did say that it would restore the road once work was completed, restoring a white-topped road will cost more than restoring a regular road. The BBMP had said that this particular alignment of the metro was finalized only after the white-topping project had been cleared. However, a spokesperson from the BMRCL said it would be wrong to say so, since metro projects are cleared in higher level meetings where the BBMP is also a stakeholder.
It is also unique because it has had non-regional parties that have led its governance till date. In terms of bargaining power of the citizens, there is no party that survives purely because Karnataka, in other words, the residents of Karnataka alone, they are beholden to. They are beholden to high command. Their funds may flow in from other states, but they are not beholden only to us. BBMP is not elected anymore, which means you don't have a place to go to. I don't care who owns the road. My corporator is still accountable to me because he's accountable for a certain jurisdiction, right? But that doesn't exist, not for the past 1.5 years. That's actually a violation of citizen rights.
The BBMP elections have been delayed for over a year now due to an increase in the number of wards under the BBMP. This happened after the BBMP bill was passed by the state government in December last year. The Act also does not provide any solutions to the problems of coordination between different bodies and agencies. So, where do we go from here? What does the road ahead look like?
Let's look at the lowest hanging fruit, right? The lowest hanging fruit are really, that the council elections happen on time and there is an elected council. Only if there's an elected council can you hold a person responsible. Until then, as efficient or inefficient as administrators must be, they really don't need to be accountable to citizens at all. They aren't, right? That is a fact. They just aren't.
Routine elections will also mean citizens can hold elected representatives accountable for not just coordination issues, but also quality issues with the roads themselves. Ward committees, which are chaired by local elected representatives, will be functional, which means road work in particular wards can also be supervised by these committees. While this may not be the solution to the entire problem, ensuring better accountability would be an important first step in the process that will hopefully lead to better roads in Bengaluru.